Hey everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I am so excited to finally do my tri-stringer guide, which I was waiting for Splatoon 3 to come out. It's come out, I'm very excited about it. I want to be doing some videos in the future on the rest of the game, but for today we're going to be doing some tips and tricks guide for the tri-stringer in Splatoon 3. A lot of people have been saying that this weapon is a little bit underwhelming or doesn't perform as well as they would like it to. And I definitely understand those issues and those struggles, but I'm going to try to provide some tips in this video that I feel like made it a little bit more consistent for me, and then maybe you guys could take that to the next level. By no means is this a full-on comprehensive guide yet, because I don't know enough about the weapon, and there might be stuff that I'm missing, and probably is, so this is just some tips and tricks that I found. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the tri-stringer is a stringer type weapon, obviously, and essentially it's a bow that you get to shoot, and when you jump it's going to change the direction of your shot, right? So right now, if I were to go in and I clean up, right, so that you can see just this, we can go here and we can do a full charge shot, and you can see the range is about that far if you're fully charging up, and if you're jumping, as you can see, it's about the same, right? And for reference, if I took a charger here, and we charge that up, just so you guys can see, charger's about the same distance, right? Maybe a little bit less or a little bit more, but you can see it's about the same, right? So this is kind of the range that you're playing with when you're playing with the tri-stringer. Now its kit, as you can see, is obviously Toxic Mist, which is really good for slowing your opponents down and getting the ability to kind of attack them a little bit more. As you can see, when you're throwing that Toxic Mist, it's going to go, okay, it's going to slow them down a bit, and then maybe you can just, you know, pelt them with a few things of ink while their mobility is slowed and they have less ink and less maneuverability, and then you can go from there. So yeah, the kit is pretty nice. It also has Killer Whale 5.2 or whatever it's called. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's essentially like, you know, Killer Whale, but like a bunch of small ones. And essentially, if there's no targets, you pop it, it'll just kind of go in the direction you pointed, but as you saw over there, if there is a target, it'll track that target and follow them wherever they go in a certain extent. So that's essentially how the kit works, but now on to the actual weapon. So the tri-stringer is going to be able to do some pretty good damage and have some pretty good range with that damage, as I just showed. When you're up close and personal and you just tap fire it, it's going to do 30 damage per pellet, and if you do one circle of charge, it's going to do 35. So with just tap firing, if you hit every shot, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be a 4-shot kill. But if you have one circle of charge and you tap fire, it'll 3-shot. And as you see, I didn't do everything perfectly there, but it's still 3-shot, right? So it's a 3-shot if you have the first circle. You'll also notice in the tri-stringer that it has these little explodey things, and that's unique to the tri-stringer because we can see the other stringer doesn't have it. So essentially, in order to get those, as you can see with this circle, you need to at least fill up one of those circles, right? So as you can see, there's 1 and then 2. That's fully charged. You at least need one circle fully charged in order to get those little globules, whatever you want to call them, out, right? So one thing. So usually when it comes to starting out the beginning of the match, what I'm doing is just tap firing. So I'm just doing this in the beginning. And then when it comes to actually getting a little bit more ink, I'm doing this, right? And this can also be really good offensively, right? Because as you can see, these little ink globules do damage, right? They do a decent amount of damage, actually, as you can see there, right? That does a fair amount of damage. That was almost about, you know, 50, 60 damage, right? That those globules are doing, but probably multiple of them were hitting, right? So these globules are able to do a decent amount of damage, and that's kind of the key to the tri-stringer, is you want these globules to do really as much damage as possible, and a lot of your kills or assists will be you kind of shooting over there and getting some residual damage. As you can see, that just did 84 with all 3 of them hitting, so, and that probably wasn't the closest they could have hit. So really, that can just kill someone if they're a little bit weak. So this is kind of how you want to play around with it, is just play to the effective range that you have, and definitely just try to get some of those globules doing some damage so that you can get a lot of assists with this weapon, which is a lot of the time what will happen. Or you can do some straight damage with them and actually just kill on your own, as you can see there. That's not really the globules, that's just the straight hits, so yeah. And the next thing I want to cover actually with this weapon, going off of the globules, is being able to get consistent one-shot. Because the cool part about this weapon is that it can one-shot in both modes, right there. And it has no indicator like the charger, right? With the charger, it has an indicator, and a lot of chargers have gotten really good at, making that indicator pretty much useless because they just do flick shots, so they just kind of go like this, and then they flick, and they hit, and so really the indicator didn't matter because in the time it took them to flick, you're already dead, right? But with this, you can actually catch people off guard because there's no indicator, so they never know where you're aiming ever, right? And there's no indicator as to where you are or where you're coming from. And as you can see also, it had the effective range of a charger. So it's pretty cool that you can get a one-shot from that range. Now, in order to get that one-shot, you might be wondering, where's the consistency? Well, you can see three little dots in the middle right there, right? And when I go slightly off to the right or to the left or up or down, you lose those, right? You can see where it's going to hit, but you lose them on the target. If you have all three of those on the target, it's going to one-shot, right? That's guaranteed. Now, see, the inconsistencies come where it's slightly off, right? And the main part is if you have those three dots on the target and you see the three X's, then that's the real indicator that you're going to shoot, right? Because that means that those three dots are not only hitting something, but they're also on target. They're all going to hit the target. As you can see here, I still have the three dots right on the ground, but I have no X. That's because I'm not looking at a target right now. So I'm just shooting the ground. It's just saying, okay, all three of your shots are going to hit the ground, right? So what you really want to go for is trying to make sure that you have these three dots on the target and you have these three X's. If you see that, then it's pretty consistent that you're going to get a one-shot. But as you can see with moving targets, I'm also not the best, but with moving targets, it's a little bit harder. So in a real Splatoon game, it's hard to get those three X's on a target, guaranteed. Even right there, I was looking at the target, and they still missed. Now, this is probably the most important tip I have, and really my main point of making the video, is I was able to find that if you use the vertical shot and you aim slightly down, it's pretty consistent to get a one-shot almost every time, right? And the reason I found this is pretty simple, actually. Number one, Inklings are more tall than they are wide, and that's pretty obvious, as you can see with these guys right here. They're more tall than they are wide, right? So when you do a wide shot like this, it's more likely that one of your dots or one of the X's is going to be slightly off, and as you can see, that actually looks like it's hitting. But when I shoot, it goes past, because these globules in the shots have a really small hitbox. So what you want to do is go for the vertical shot, because there's more of a chance of all of them hitting. Now, the reason why you want to aim slightly down is because if you're aiming too high, it'll actually just go over the target, right? That third shot will just straight up go over the target. So what you want to do is aim slightly down so that, even I didn't do it there, right? But you want to aim slightly down so that that third shot at the top, is hitting the target. And this makes it a lot easier to hit that one shot. So on the tri-stringer, my recommendation to you guys, if you're having trouble getting those one shots, is go for the jump shot and try to aim slightly down, right? So aim slightly below halfway of the Inkling, so that when you're jumping, you're about hitting them halfway, right? Because you also have to account for jumping giving you height when you release. But you're really just looking for that hit and then low, and that's even a little bit off. So it's not super always consistent, but it's more consistent than going like this and having looking like it's gonna hit and then it being slightly off and it's like, oh, that just missed and now it's not a one shot, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about specifically. That's probably the most important tip in this video. So moving on, the next tip that I have is going to be some combos that you have. One of the weaknesses with tri-stringer is that it's actually not that it's not that good as close range, right? The other stringer is a little bit better at that because it does a lot more base damage, to my knowledge. But this stringer is going to do pretty good damage if you can hit the shots right up close, and all of the shots like we just showed, but that's going to be hard because, anyone in front of you, if it's an end zap or a splash or a sploosh or whatever, any slayered weapon that can get up close and personal, it's going to be a little hard to hit them while they're substrafing around and using the new movement options and all that. It's going to be a little bit hard to get this one shot. So some of the combos you can do, as I talked about, it's a 3-shot right here, and then you could do a 4-shot with the charged circle, right? Or you could do a 3-shot mixed. But one of the consistent combos I found is that if you can at least hit 2 shots, that's a 3-shot. Sometimes you can just do this to someone close. But if you hit that, as we know, a just barely charged pellet is 30. So if you can hit at least 2 of the pellets, right, on a target, which I'm not doing, I'm doing a bad job of, but if you can do that and then you just do a shot, you can pretty much kill them, right? So if you do this, let's see, it's there. Oh my god, I'm doing it horrible. But if you do this, right, where if you hit 2 of them and then you just tap fire, that's a kill, right? So probably one of your fastest combo kills close up could be just a charge shot, just a double circle charge shot if you time it well with 2 pellets and then tap fire, which I'm not doing super consistently, but it is an option if you want to. The other option is obviously to jump shot, like I just talked about, where you could do this, or you could try to get close up to them and just hit that and then go for another charge shot. So there's a few options, but those are some of your close range options if you absolutely need to. And my recommendation is just to always get space for yourself. And if you can predict where you're going, you can even use your globules, right? It's really quick to get that first charge. So if you know that someone's, oh no, you look at this moving target right here, and someone's going to come to me from the left, right? So they move to the left over there, and then they're coming back and they're coming from the left. You could go, okay, I'm going to predict that, and I'm going to shoot some shots like that, right? I'm going to shoot some globule shots here first, and then I'm going to tap fire them, right? Or something like that. And that might make it a little bit easier. If you can get a little bit of globule damage on them, right in front of them, which is, it's a little bit hard because the hitbox isn't big. But if you can get a little bit of globule damage on them, then you might just be able to tap fire them to death. So these should be some of your close range options, and yeah. I'm pretty sure this is all the tips I wanted to go over. I'm kind of just doing this video non-scripted, so I hope it wasn't too rambly and long for you guys, but this is kind of what I wanted to talk about the tri-stringer. I think it's really good, and I think people are going to find some really cool ways to use it, but you really just need to find a way to make it more consistent and deal with its weaknesses, which are its inability to consistently one-shot, its small hitboxes on the actual pellets themselves, and its hard time dealing with close-range, combatants. So if you can use some of these tips to try to improve your gameplay, let me know down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Look out for more Splatoon 3 content from me in the future. I'll probably be doing some stuff on other weapons once I get better at them. Some specials, some movement options, all the stuff, the story mode, everything. So I'm going to try to cover more Splatoon 3, but for now, this is my tri-stringer tips and tricks guide. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye-bye.